All right, welcome in everyone. This is another episode of Line Breakers FC. You saw AJ and Joey earlier this week served my one-match suspension for my actions on Friday's stream of getting a little too tipsy, but we're here back in the saddle. No, I'm just kidding. I did 12 NCAA conference previews, so by that time on Monday I was dead. Didn't prep. Got my prep in today, so I'm glad to be back in the saddle. Joey B, the weather's finally nice on the East Coast because we don't care about the West Coast. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It couldn't be nicer out. Couldn't be a better sports weekend coming up. Not the best soccer slate, but we had some good Champions League, good Europa, decent games this weekend, but a ton of college basketball. But we'll focus on the footy for this stream.
AJ, how you doing?
Doing pretty well, but before the show, I realized this weekend we lose an hour of sleep, so my mood tanked down a little bit, but we're here to talk some footy, so my mood will go up again as we get into the slate.
It is only an hour.
So we're going to save the Champions League recap for Monday. So from quick little Europa hitters, this quarterfinals, no games were huge blowouts today. I guess you could say Arsenal 3-1 over Olympiacos was the biggest one of the results, but we could see some more close matches. We saw a late tie with Milan over against United. So we can see, is there going to be any angles on fading teams, backing teams at the midweek action? There's a few spots up in our card that I know Joey and I have target that we're fading a team off it. So do you think that weighs any effect? Hit us up in the comments because we're always dying to hear that. But Joey, you wrote an article for it, so you can definitely check it out at thebreakdownsports.com. You kind of gave out some of your favorites to advance. Any plays? I saw you tweeting leans today, which always fun to do because tracking your leans a little less sweat in the game, but let you know if you're on angle or not. Just give me the Europa recap because you're locked in.
Yeah, so I think biggest surprise for me, if you read my article, I thought Shakhtar had a pretty decent chance to advance. They lost 3-0. Thought this match against Roma would be a little closer. I think it just kind of got away from them late, so they're down 3-0 going back to Ukraine. So probably too big of a hurdle for them to overcome. Besides that, it's going to be good. Villarreal kind of got the job done. Arsenal got the job done. Tottenham far enough ahead. But I think Slavia Prague Rangers will be great next Thursday. Same with United, AC Milan. And then the match I'll be really looking forward to, I think maybe I'll lock it in on Monday on the show, but the Granada-Molde over. It didn't come in today, but I think that Molde had a red card in the 60th minute. But definitely a good spot. Molde has a strong offense. They will be in Norway, I believe. I'm guessing they'll be playing their home game there. So I just think Molde is going to go balls to the wall, trying to get their goals back. Granada's a pretty good countering team. So similar to the Dortmund-Sevilla game this week, kind of similar aspect. And then the last matchup, Ajax took it to Young Boys, thought it'd be a closer leg, but they also have a 3-0. But I do think the quarterfinals next round are setting up really nicely with some of these smaller teams getting knocked out. I think at least two of the three EPL teams should advance. So going to be some big ties coming up in the quarterfinals of Europa.
AJ, from a fan's perspective, what would you give the match today? Real quick hitters before you get into the Serie A and Premier League slate.
Entertainment, 9 out of 10. The way United play, like 6 out of 10. AC Milan got a couple goals taken back from VAR, so thankful for that. But excited for next Thursday, second leg.
All right. So let's get right into it with two teams that did play today. So we did see some rotation in the lineups, but we saw Harry Kane starting. You saw some of the other top guys start, and Arsenal versus Tottenham. So that's a very interesting angle to me because you could talk me into the under here just because it's sitting at 2.5 at 115 each side. So no one really knows how to feel about it unless you think the tired legs will turn into goals. But here you have Arsenal at plus 156. You got Tottenham at plus 176. So it's a pick on either side. The juices to Arsenal. And this is where I really want to back Tottenham here because there's no way, even with both playing midweek and Tottenham's top guys may have been out there, that Arsenal should not, even though they're slight favorites, they shouldn't be that big of favorites against Tottenham. So that's where if I had to lean on this one, I'd have to lean them. But you never know with Mourinho which games he's going to decide to try, which one's not. So we could see I think we see a very boring 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I don't think we'll see many goals. In terms of a side, I'm not sure which. I don't think Tottenham or Arsenal should be favored the way they are. I think maybe just a safe value play, maybe to take a draw or even a Tottenham draw no bet. But both of them look pretty good. Both of them are playing a little bit better than they have in the past. So it's hard to split, but definitely it may be another 0-0 top 6 clash.
Man, it's funny because both of you guys leaned the under. I was really close to taking the over on this game. Stayed away just because, like you guys mentioned, no one really knows what's going to happen. But if I had to lean, it would be the over 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham's rattled off 5 straight wins in all competition. And Arsenal, even though they have won 3 of their past 4 with just a draw in there, so you're seeing the teams kind of find their form. In this matchup here, it's always been, I don't know if I could say historically back and forth, but within the past 5 years, we saw Tottenham win the last 2, then we saw 2 draws, and then Tottenham again. So it's been a little bit more favored on that angle. So that's one of the more reasons why is if you take into the historical matchups into account, Tottenham's at least pulling out a point in each of these games. So maybe the draw or the Asian handicap's a smart way to go at that one. Let's get into a Monday match where we got Wolves Wolves hosting Liverpool here, and you got Wolves at plus 376, short money line for Liverpool minus 132. Over 2.5 is slightly juiced to the under at minus 120. Does Liverpool finally end the unbeaten streak or the beaten streak, AJ?
Yeah, so I have a play on the total that I'll save for later, but I think, like you mentioned with your Serie A clubs, where some of them are just focused on Champions League versus the league, I could totally see that with Liverpool, where they're all in on the Champions League, not too much on the domestic side. So I do see Wolves pulling out a result on this one.
Ooh, you would take that Asian handicap if you had to, even though, I mean, they're not winning in the Premier League. Liverpool's only won 1 against Sheffield United. Huge win for them. In their past ones before that, you have to go all the way back to January 31st to see that win against West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think taking them plus 0.75,
yeah,
not a bad idea. But AJ, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, Wolves on you get, what was that, split between a goal and half a goal. That's where I'd have to lean with this one. But like I did mention, I do have a play on this on the total that I'll talk about later.
Yeah,
right,
go for it. I don't have any other opinions really.
As a Wolves supporter, you don't have any thoughts up there because they're starting to find their groove a little bit now. Not
a little bit
confidently, but they're at least showing some forms of life without Raul.
I think Liverpool just seems to have their number. They don't match up too well against them, but Liverpool is as bad as any team in their domestic league right now, or domestic play, I guess. So it is complete. I'll be rooting on Wolves as a fan, but betting perspective, I got no clue, no idea.
And then the last match we'll get into, already way too much United talk in this one, so hopefully it gets down a little bit. We got United at minus 118 on the money line. You got West Ham at plus 343. I got to play on the side, so I'm going to talk total here. You got the over 2.5 juiced at minus 125. And this is one where if you're playing the over, I think you rather just target that both teams to score. Because I don't know if we do see a winner in this one. Both teams, I definitely think, get on the sheet here. So that's where if I'm playing this, I would not feel confident playing this under. But we've seen United pull out, was it 3 straight 0-0 draws just not too long ago, like if you remove there. So that's where goals don't seem to be plenty. Both teams to score is the only way I would target the total here.
Yeah, for me, I think over 2.5 is, I think it's kind of tough. I would have to lean the under as well. Just United can't score, but United aren't conceding goals at any crazy rate. the only question I have, and I don't know if you guys know the answer to this, so United sold or loaned Lingard to West Ham. Is he eligible to play against United? Does anyone know?
Depends on if they allow them. It's not like a fast. It depends on what the loan contract says, because they can let him play, but sometimes teams will prohibit that from happening.
Oh yeah, that was my only question. If he plays, then maybe take the over because he's been playing really well for West Ham.
Well, that was the thing we saw with Dean Henderson in Sheffield United, where Henderson wasn't allowed to play in goal because that was his contract. Was that so? AJ, start sleuthing on the internet, find that contract clause, and then you'll get your answer.
Being a football manager, the game, not in real life, the game, and being an expert, I know that's an option you can set in to make sure your star youngsters don't just destroy you if you ever go up against them. But yeah, for me, I think both teams to score is a good one. I know we saw United give up a late goal today, and they obviously have the attacking firepower. So I have both teams to score -144. Might be a little juice compared to some other books, but I still think that's a good bet. And if you can play like same game parlays and stuff, adding in like an under 4.5 goals, so both teams to score an under 4.5, I don't think this is going to be a 5-goal thriller. It gets you to +112, so some plus money there. Not a bad angle, but I think this game should be an under. It's just a matter of would we see them get on the score sheet, or both teams get on the score sheet.
And the sad thing is we're almost wrapping up to the end in the Premier League season. I think we have about 2 months left, less than 10 matches for every team's remaining at this point. So you could really start seeing motivation come into it. As I always say, toughest thing to cap because you can never put a number to it. But teams might just be happy mid-table, make it to next year. The relegation battle's definitely heating up. And you got some good matches down there to determine that last spot because it kind of seems like the last two are solidified there. We can almost just give City the title, even though United tried to make it a little fun. But until we get into our best bets, let's hop over into Serie A. There is one top match that is worth noting about because all the rest you kind of have the top of the table face to mid-table. But as Joey B alluded to us before the stream, you have a 9 a.m. Kick between Lazio and Crotone tomorrow. So if you want to get down and dirty nice and early, that's where you would have to be headed. But we're going to cover the AC Milan Napoli game where you have Milan as short money line favorites at +163. You got Napoli at +181. You got the over at a juice 2.5 at -120. And here's definitely a match where Milan, they've just been trending not down the table yet, but this will be the match that determines how much they do because they did pull out that result against Roma. So now if they can pull out another top result after having a tough midweek match, this is one where 3 in a row, the legs could potentially finally catch up to them. So that's where I was still surprised that Napoli wasn't the favorites, but I just think the books could be giving Milan too much credit in that one because I just don't know how much more their legs can go through it. Sure, Zlatan's still up there, but it's just the way the team's going, the injuries that they have been facing throughout the lineup. It just seems like this is one where if I had to play a side, it would definitely not be leaning on the Milan one. But recent history shows these games are always usually goal fest. So that's kind of where I was surprised that we had it juiced over 2.5, but I think that takes into account the midweek match.
Yeah, I've got to play on the side, but yeah, total. I think AC Milan will probably play fairly conservatively here, just because of the in between the two United games. So I don't expect them to be playing high energy pressing. I think they're going to be a little more defensive than they usually are. And then Napoli on the other side, they're getting some guys back. I know Osimhen was out for a couple games, and he came back as a sub. So maybe he gets a start, but Napoli's been playing a little bit better recently. They kind of trend up and down, but Napoli or AC Milan seems to have trended down. Now they're just kind of holding steady right there. So maybe they get a bounce back in Serie A, but I kind of think they'll have their sights set on the United decider game in Europa on Thursday.
Yeah, I guess the only thing you could potentially eye up here is also both teams to score since it's only a juiced over 2.5. You won't be paying too much of a premium there to lock that one in because the last 2 times they met, sure they're both in Napoli, but it was 3-1 and 2-2, and the one before that in Milan was 1-1. So the recent one shows that both teams are most likely to get into the score sheet. But AJ, if water finds its level, you could always switch it back over and go with that under.
I hope so.
All right, so let's get into our best bets. How'd you guys do on the Champions League this midweek?
I was 1-1. No units won, no units lost. I won the Dortmund Sevilla, both teams to score in over 2.5, but lost the PSG Barca over 3.5. Yeah, the Messi penalty right before half, missing that, killed it. But either way, no harm, no foul this week.
Yeah, I had one play only. Took another first half under 1 in Leipzig and Liverpool. Ended 0-0 first half for a unit and some change on that.
Can't complain about that. You got a nice little plus money winner there. Were you sweating that one at all? Under first half one's always a.
Yeah, so I was watching the PSG Barcelona game because that was the only one on TV for me. But I was checking flash score for the other games, and every comment was bolded, so I felt like a goal was coming soon. So
the flash score sweat. All right, so let's get into our plays this week. Joey B, you got 3 lined up, so you kick us off.
Oh, well, we just talked about the game, Napoli AC Milan. I'm taking Napoli draw no bet -103, just fading Milan in between their United fixtures. Rex mentioned I feel like they played a ton of games. They've always been a good run of big games. So just at some point the pressure is going to get to them. And I don't see Napoli getting beat here. They got the firepower to get a goal or two here, and I think they if they get a goal up, they'll hold on at least for a point. I just don't see them losing, so I'll play it a little safe. I think there's a little bit of value on them on the money line, but I'll take a draw no bet -103.
Yeah, definitely a good way to go, especially since they had no midweek action. Past 4 matches overall in Serie A, they netted 10, minimum of 2 in each one. So they're clicking the back of the net, and with Osimhen coming back into the lineup, that's always a good thing to add to that attacking prowess. So my first play up, AJ, I'm sorry. I believe this match ends in a draw, so I'm taking the West Ham plus 0.5 at even. I mean, you could almost rattle back off the same logic that Joey B used for taking Napoli and fading Milan. Here, I'm just fading United because they're playing the same team. So I honestly thought about teeing both of these up. There's a potential that I do end up tailing Joey B's Napoli in this one because we're essentially playing the same one. But I like that I got the plus 0.5 other than the pick at almost the same price. So that's what made me definitely lean this one. I mean, my Mighty Yamas, even though I wasn't high on them at the beginning of the season, they're pulling out results. Almost pulled that one out against City. I like where they're at. Are they playing over their head a little bit? Maybe, but we see West Ham like every 4 or 5 years make a run to make the Champions League. Then you kind of just are good to fade them the next few. So that's just where good form as of late. United's been drawing a lot in the Premier League, so let's ride that one out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a United fan, I hate that pick, but as a logical sports bettor, I think it's a good pick. I think books always overvalue United and undervalue their opposition. So automatically off the bat, you usually get some sort of value on that one. And like you mentioned, United can't score, but then we don't concede. So I think a draw is also the most likely result. Do you have anything to add, Joey?
They overvalue United only when they don't play City because there's, I'd say, a good amount of value. But should I get into my second player or you want to give your one, AJ?
Let me start with my one. So first
I guess
play.
you have two.
Oh yeah, I have 2. So first play is the early Saturday kickoff. Leeds Chelsea over 2.5 -130. I see this going 2 ways. Either Chelsea score 3 or Leeds gets on the board at least for a 2-1 result. I'm honestly surprised this wasn't an over 3, so I'll be happy to take the half goal on this.
Yeah, I think it just the Tommy Tuchel unders are coming in left and right, but it is Leeds, so they're going to get pressed. But it's definitely an interesting matchup and a good tactical battle.
So this one, when I saw you throw it in the sheet, I was very interested behind it because what he alluded to there, and then Chelsea does have that midweek match. So that's where I think you have to be. They're also up to 1-0 against Madrid. We'll talk about that on Monday, but that's where you got to hope Leeds gets one in this game because yeah, Leeds is conceding at a pretty high rate. Maybe we see some Chelsea rotation here, but they're still fighting for that spot in the table. So my only fear of you not hitting this one is a 2-0 winner for Chelsea.
Yeah, that's also fair. And like Joey said, the Tuchel unders are hot, but trends die sometimes.
I like it.
They're ending here.
Good. I love when we go against it and don't ride it.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot to do so for sure. I mean, Leeds and over is usually pretty good bets, especially I think the last game they played went under. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, they always maybe bounce back with a goal here. But yeah, I'll get into my second play. I'm taking Dortmund -1, -132. I think they're like -200, 220 on the money line. They're playing Hertha Berlin. I just think Dortmund's their offense is clicking. Obviously, we saw against Sevilla. I know Sevilla was probably playing a little more aggressive than normal, but with the Dortmund offense, obviously Holland is up top, and then they've got endless wingers and guys supporting him. So I just think this game, I think they'll win this game. So if they win it by 1, I get a push. I think they could win this game by a couple goals. I think there's a little value in that -1.5, but I'm playing a little safe, take a little juice on it, and take a -1, -132.
No, no, they just wrapped up, so they're good. So you don't really have that big of a Champions League concern there. With Hertha, I don't think no one thought they're going to be they're fighting the relegation. They're 2 spots above it. So when you're getting a -1 and not that bad of a rate, seems like a good play over in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, and I think I looked Dortmund in over 1.5 goals, and it was like -150 ish around there, kind of too much juice, and then over 2.5 was plus. What was it? Maybe +110, I think. So I just don't know if Dortmund's going to score 3. I think I could see them go up 2-0, hold on to that lead, maybe give up a goal, maybe not. But I would imagine they're going to just play this game well and then kind of get their rest next week before for that while the other teams get their Champions League games in.
Yep. So I got a parlay coming up for this one. So you could play this one individually if you wanted to, but I didn't want to play an under 2.25 or rely on Juventus to win by more than a goal. So this is where I'm going with the Castle Via under 2.5. That one kicks tomorrow. So I get to watch some soccer while I'm watching the hoops. And this is where, AJ, maybe I should have taken your reasoning here and faded the trend, but the last 10 Castle Via matchups have all gone under 2.5. So that goes all the way back to 2013. So that's where we're going to ride this one out, hope that this history is showing something. If the trend gets bucked this week, it does. I mushed it, but I'm riding that under 2.5 at -139. And yes, that's too juicy for me to play straight. If I had to do that straight, I would do the under 2.5 or just risk 1 unit risk 1 on the -139. And I'm going with the Juve money line at -179 to parlay that together to get me to +168. So when I see that +168, that's what makes Rex happy there because Juve, they're done. They're out. What better than travel to the island and just smack Caligari where history shows also as well. So maybe I'm riding the trends a little too much here, but they usually smack them on the island. And this is the perfect motivation get right game, even if Ronaldo doesn't play, even though he's a wuss for fucking diving away in that wall there. That's just grade school, like bad there, where if we did that on when I played high school soccer, you would be running and bench for the entire rest of the season. So that's just where you can't make that type of mistake. He definitely knows that. He's feeling the heat, especially all over Twitter because he was getting roasted for that one. So that's where I just think Juve comes out and thrumps them. And if not, just gives Inter a better chance here if they do end up drawing. So like where if Napoli comes out and Juve doesn't win, I'm even more happy and safer. So kind of a little hedge against my emotional being.
Yeah, when when I saw you enter this onto the sheet, I was a little bit confused because you always talk about how you like being contrarian, and then you always talk about how you hate Juve. But here you are following trends and backing Juve. But obviously, you get nice plus money out of it, so can never hate on it. Joey, you have any thoughts on either of those two?
Castle Villa, I think no Jack Grealish again, most likely, so that helps. And then
And
Juve
no
money
Wilson.
line. Oh yeah,
And no Callum Wilson for Castle too. So you get your most creative player in Grealish, you get your top goal scorer in Castle, where they just I watched the whole last one. This could be a little bit too much recency bias. This past midweek with Castle against West Brom, and there's just nothing clicking up there right now for them.
I think they're just going to be throwing rocks at each other the whole time. There's going to be a lot of bodies banging and not a lot of beautiful soccer going on. This will be a game you don't want to show your average sports fan is like a selling point on soccer, I'd imagine. But yeah, Juve money line. I actually looked at Cagliari +1 just because of the discontent and the I don't even know what to call it, but the drama and everything of getting knocked out and what have you. But yeah, I ended up just not sticking with it. Like Rex said, the trends don't back Cagliari here, so I think Juve get the job done. But who knows? Who knows? It's always a tough island to go play on.
Perfect. And my second and final play for the week is Liverpool. Wolves under 2.5 sits at -110 on Bovada. This one is using all my brain and logic where Wolves can just sit back, absorb pressure for 60, 90 minutes against Liverpool. Liverpool have been struggling to score goals, especially in the Premier League. So I see this one sailing under.
Yeah, can't really hate on that one. Just, the only way you can concern is I was banking on, everyone's been banking on if you're backing Liverpool that they're finally going to break out of the Premier League funk. You saw them try to do it against Sheffield and they only got 2 there. So I could definitely see another 2-0 winner type of game where Liverpool's dangerous. They're having the attacks, but then they just shut down for that last 10 minutes and just rode that one out and didn't try to get a winner. So I think the under 2.5 when you're getting at -110 solid.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Wolves, I always expect them to go out and score goals, and they never do. So I'd imagine this will be a pretty low-scoring game. For my third and final bet, I'm taking Wolfsburg, win to nil, +127. They're playing Schalke. Not only is Schalke with the worst offense in the Bundesliga, Wolfsburg is the best defense. Maybe too much of an obvious. We're all playing trends this week. We're all playing stats, so it may come back to bite us. But I just think Wolfsburg. I think great value is a parlay piece. Maybe even as a -1 this weekend as well. But I just think them beating Schalke win to nil. Even better price +127. Schalke may not get a goal. Probably won't get a goal. So I'll take that Wolfsburg win to nil any day.
I'm gonna like this one if you're fading Schalke because as usual, have them start as my favorite team in Flash Score so that anytime they're playing, I know it. Always look up before Lion Breakers FC who they're playing this week, and I honestly didn't look at the win to nil angle here. Just because, especially with college basketball, the Bundesliga has completely been ignored. As you can tell, I haven't bet on it in the past 3 weeks. And if you're telling me here that the Wolfsburg has the best defense here, and they're home as well, so that's why you get the -282 price. So you got that -282 all the way down to a +127. That's a good way to get creative with the numbers and an outcome you expect.
Yeah, I think they may not be the best, but they're 1 or 2 goals within whoever is the best. I think it may be Leipzig or Leverkusen, one of those two.
The only I guess bad part is I don't know if the books hate Schalke as much as we do. They usually do, but even if you do get into the 70th minute mark and you do have a book that gives you live team totals, you could target a Schalke one. But it may just be plus the entire game if they are going to score a goal. So you actually, I mean, I said that poorly. You'll probably get good price for Schalke to try to bang one at the 70th minute marker because they're so terrible up top.
Yeah, very true.
All right, nothing else, no leans. Any other games that we missed that we wanted to hit on? Because a little bit of a quicker one here, but can never hate it when we're hopefully giving out 7 winners.
I always like looking at Serie A overs. Sampdoria Bologna was one, but other than that, maybe Atalanta tomorrow. And then both Italy and Germany were kind of weird games this week, and I think they got a big Leipzig Frankfurt game, and then Stuttgart Hoffenheim. But I looked at those totals, and those are both juice. So just trying to find angles with good spots and good value.
Yeah, the one that I've was looking at, and I realized that I don't know if they were just a trendy team last year or it was people I was following. It always seemed like somebody was on Fiorentina for every match that they played last season, and this year I've seen close to none. Granted, where they're sitting in the table doesn't give them anything, but they're the Benvenidos plus 250 home underdogs tomorrow. That just seemed, or not tomorrow, on Saturday. So that was one that was, if I had to pick a hungry dog, that was the one I was eyeing up.
Good to know. I think the Fiorentina is a hard team there, so you expect them to be good, but they've just been downright terrible this year. So
you love to see it. Well, I guess unless you're not a Viola supporter. But let's wrap up our best bets for this weekend. I got 1 on Friday, 2 on Sunday. So even though there wasn't a great Saturday spot, I'll give me more time to focus on college hoops, so I can't really complain there. Taking the West Ham plus 0.5 at even. And then I got parlay of Castle via under 2.5 with Juve money line for plus 168. And just can't wait to get real back in the saddle in about 2 weeks. Once a bunch of college basketball digging is done, we'll be back. We'll be throwing out the bigger volume again.
Perfect. Yeah. I have 2 plays for you guys this weekend. Chelsea leads over 2.5 minus 130, and Liverpool Wolves under 2.5 minus 110. That Liverpool game is a Monday game, so I think we'll have action all weekend for you guys.
Yeah, I got Napoli draw no bet minus 103, Dortmund -1 minus 132, and then Wolfsburg win to nil plus 127. I think 2 of those are Saturday. The German games are Saturday, and then I got an afternoon Sunday game, just maybe a little appetizer before Selection Sunday.
Yes, sir. So definitely look for us to be back on Monday, even though this was a short one. Mondays might be a little bit shorter for this Champions League because this is the biggest leg where we see the biggest deficits. You got Madrid and Atalanta at 1-0, and you got Chelsea at Atletico Madrid 1-0. The other two have a little bit bigger scoring margins. I know that was the same for this past week, but we got to talk Champions League because we love it. Can never get enough of us. So until then, we'll see you later. Make sure you check us out, thebreakdownsports.com.